Well, isn't that awesome? Because that goes right into what we're talking about. We were just trying to find a peace in the chaos.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
So we are here to talk about something very real. It's how to calm the chaos and move through overwhelm during the hot. Because when it comes to the season, it's supposed to be really joyful, really magical. And for many people, it can kind of be overwhelming, emotionally heavy and also exhausting. Expectations are up, the schedules get full, and the pressure to keep everything together is just kind of nonstop, especially for me, because, with all the kids and the babies, we're just kind of nonstop. So today is about slowing that down, not by doing more, but by learning how to support your nervous system, your mind, and yourself in a way that actually works. So if you've been feeling stretched thin, if you feel mentally overloaded, or if your nervous system hasn't had a chance to kind of just slow down, you're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. But today is about creating space to pause, reset, and learn how to calm the chaos, not by doing more, but by learning how to support yourself in a smarter and more sustainable way. Before I keep going, I just wanted to ask you, are we recording?
Yes. Yes. You should have gotten a message when you came in, but let me check. Nope. It says still recording.
Okay, so I just wanted to set that disclaimer to let everybody know we're recording.
Yes.
Okay, so in this workshop, you'll be experiencing a blend of two powerful approaches. So I'll be sharing some practical mindfulness and emotional intelligence tools that's drawn from the Clarity Catalyst program, which is rooted in a Stanford University master's degree curriculum. And it is focused on self awareness, emotional regulation, and resilience. And these tools are designed to help you ground yourself in the present moment, quiet the mental overwhelm, and then reconnect with clarity even during the high stress seasons like the holidays. And then you'll also be learning the tools from Ms. Dr. Carter here, which brings in the science behind the stress with resilience, leadership under pressure. And then her approach helps us understand what's happening in your brain, in your body when stress takes over, and then how to work with your nervous system instead of fighting against it. So together, the practices bridge insight with action, awareness with strategy, and calm with confidence. Before we dive in, I want you to give yourself permission to just fully be present in the moment. Be here, be now, right? Just silence your notifications, close your tabs, and then gently step away from distractions and we just have somebody else. So hello,
It's
have
Squashanda. I think
anybody
she
else.
dropped off one piece of tech and came back and on another, I would think.
You guys do not have to worry about taking any detailed notes. As I said earlier, the session is going to be recorded, so we will send you the slides afterwards. But for now, just simply allow you to be present in the moment and the experiences. So a little bit about me. My name is London. I am a transformational life and wellness coach, a speaker, and founder of Her Law of Growth. My work is centered around helping women slow down, reconnect with themselves, and then move out of survival mode into lives that feel more grounded, intentional, and aligned. Much of what I teach is rooted in mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and nervous system regulation. So I work with women who feel overwhelmed, who feel burned out, and they're constantly just holding everything together and mostly at the expense of themselves. So through my coaching programs, I help people come back home to themselves, especially during the seasons of stress, transition, and emotional overload, especially like the holidays. So the tools I'll be guiding you through today are experiential. They're not about fixing you or pushing through. They're about helping your body and your mind feel safe enough to slow down, reset, and just regain that clarity in the middle of real life. So I'm honored to be co-leading this workshop today with Dr. Twanna Carter. And Dr. Twanna Carter is an award-winning executive coach and a former U.S. Army officer with deep expertise in leadership, resilience, and stress performance. He brings a powerful science-based perspective to the work, helping people understand what's actually happening in the brain and the body under stress. And her work focuses on especially.
So, London, hold on just 1 second because your sound just dipped out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. So, yeah, we're good.
What was the last thing you heard?
Um, Her work focuses on you were talking about in the body.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So her work focuses on supporting high achieving women, especially Black women leaders, and navigating pressure, burnout, and high stake environments with confidence and self trust. So today she'll be sharing some tools that help you recognize different types of stress and understand how your nervous system responds, and then apply simple techniques to regulate stress in real time. So this workshop is designed to meet you exactly where you are, give you the tools that you can actually use and be able to implement today during the holidays, at work, at home, and in everyday moments when things feel extremely overwhelming. Emotional resilience. Pick one, coming home to yourself in the moments of overwhelm. So now that you know who we are and how we'll be supporting you today, let's start foundation the work. Let's talk about resilience really quick. What is resilience? Resilience is one, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness, and then two, the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape and elasticity. The sober truth. So, one of the most common triggers for anxiety and stress is getting lost in our thoughts about the future or the past. When we project into the future, we often worry about what might happen, and then we experience these emotions like fear and anxiety. On the other hand, when we dwell on the past, we'll feel regret, we'll feel shame, or even guilt in some instances. This mental state of worry and regret prevents us from being present in the moment, and it robs us from the opportunity to be our best creative selves and achieve a sense of inner peace. So mindfulness practices can help us stay grounded in the present moment, and it can help us cultivate a sense of clarity and creativity when planning for the future. So we have to learn how to distinguish between planning and then strategizing with fear and anxiety versus doing so with like a clear and present mindset. In my coaching sessions, I guide my clients to look to the future while letting go of the worry, fear, regret, and guilt, and also the expectation, right? And instead focus on the task and with a clear and open mindset. So, to facilitate this, I'm going to share some practical tools and techniques that can help you stay present in the moment and then also avoid getting lost in the anxious thought. So, these tools will help you remain effective in your work, effective if you're in school, and then also foster a sense of peace and clarity in your personal life. So, the first tool we're going to talk about is the five senses check in. When you invoke the five senses check in, you can just kind of stop the obsessive thinking and then stop racing thoughts. So that's the fastest way to calm overwhelm. So they say you can't focus on your obsessive thought and be present in the moment at the same time. So, what I love for you to do right now is just begin with your eyes open just by invoking the sense of sight. So, just take a moment to look around the space that you're in, right? Notice the lights, notice the shadow. Don't analyze, don't overthink, just observe, just be present in the moment. And then what I want you to do is choose just one color, be blue, green, red, and just quietly count how many objects you can see in a room with that. And then when you're ready, I want you to gently close take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and invoke the sense of smell. Notice if there is any scents in the air, even something that's like really subtle. And still with your eyes, bring your attention to sound. Are coming from inside of. Then notice any sounds. Then next, bring your awareness to the sense of taste. So gently run your tongue along your teeth and swallow, noticing any sensation. And then finally touch. Notice the way the air feels on your face, the weight of your body in your chair, in your bed, where you're at that moment, where your clothing rests against your skin. Now bring your attention to your breath. Inhale through your nose. Notice how the air feels cool. And then on the exhale, notice how it feels warm. You're ready. You can gently open. So if you take a moment, you could just notice that shift there. A little more stillness, a little more space. And then it's a sense of being centered right here, right now. And so during the five senses check-in, were you worrying about the future or replaying the past? You could type it in the chat or you could just say yes or no. What about you?
No, I wasn't.
Nope. Most people say no. So now imagine where you could use this in your real life. Like, have you ever found yourself like just up in the middle of the night or
So
playing
London,
conversations?
yeah, London, you dipped out again. You said just
I
notice if
did.
you imagine yourself in the middle of the night and then there's a dip again.
Take these headphones out. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. And we going to do this without the headphones so it doesn't keep going in and out. So what was the last thing you heard?
Can you imagine being up in the middle of the night? That was where you are before you dipped out.
Okay. So now imagine being up in the middle of the night and you're just like playing these conversations. I know I do that often. Like if I'm playing different conversations in my head or playing like the worst case scenario and just stopping in that moment and doing a five senses check-in and just bringing yourself back to the present moment. So the next time you notice yourself spiraling into worry or frustration, like just kind of pause and come back to your senses. Just check the five senses and see how quickly your body responds when you give it permission to just slow down. The next tool is the calm palm. I actually taught my daughter this. It's really cool because she went on to teach her little friends this too, saying, wait a minute, let's do the calm palm. And so it's just like a simple anchoring technique that just brings you out of your head and back into your body. So when stress rises, especially during the holidays, our thoughts, it starts racing and nervous system can slip into like the flight or fright. And then without us even realizing it, the calm palm works by giving your brain something neutral and grounding to focus on. So this is a tool that you could use anytime that you feel overwhelmed, anxious, overstimulated, just like mentally stuck. And it's really helpful when you're feeling rushed too. So to practice the calm palm, what you're going to do is take your non-dominant hand and you'll hold it in front of you. And then you just take notice of like the lines, the veins, and everything on your palm, right? The texture, the color. Don't analyze it. Don't overthink. Just observe. And then you take your non-dominant hand, your index finger, and you slowly trace it outside of your thumb as you breathe in and out and you count silently. So I can't do both at one time, but what you'll do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you'll just continue doing that. You could do it once or twice or however many times you need this to bring yourself back to the present moment. But as you do this, allow your attention to stay on the movement and counting and your breath. And if your mind wanders, just gently bring it back to the sensation of the hand. And again, this tool can be used anywhere. So the calm palm helps interrupt the anxious thoughts, the patterns, and it brings your nervous system back to the present moment where calm and clarity live. So let's go on to tool number 3. So tool number 3 is meditation. So I just want to start by acknowledging that for many people, the word meditation can feel a little intimidating and frustrating. I know for me at first it was, because I'm just like, I can't calm my mind that long, or I'm bad at meditating, and that's okay. Literally, it's okay. So if that ever crossed your mind, you're not alone. But one of the biggest misconceptions about meditation is that your thoughts are supposed to stop, and that's not the goal. You're not supposed to stop your thoughts. The thoughts will always come. Meditation is not about having a quiet mind. It's about learning how to notice your thoughts without letting them run you, right? Just observe, just put on your lab coat and just observe it in that moment. So I like to think of meditation as a kind of like brain training. So just go to the gym and strengthen your body. But in this point, you're strengthening your mind. And meditation strengthens your ability to focus, right? Regulate the stress and respond rather than react, which is really, really helpful during busy times, emotionally charged holidays, and things like that. So there's also a lot of research showing that meditation supports overall well-being. So it helps lower your stress hormones. It supports the emotional regulation. It can help feelings of calm, clarity, and resilience. And instead of constantly distracting ourselves or pushing through exhaustion, meditation invites us to turn inward and allow the body and the mind to reset naturally. And there's a lot of different ways that you can meditate. So one technique is called I Feel Relaxed Now. And this just, it involves gently moving through acupressure points in your fingers while repeating the phrase. So it's really subtle, grounding, and it can be done anywhere, right? Another option is simply breathing meditation. So as you inhale, silently say the word here. And as you exhale, you say the word now. And you'll be saying that in your mind and just focusing on those two words. So when thoughts come in, and they will, you just notice them without judgment, without any expectation. And then gently just bring your attention back to your breath. You can also try the structured breath pattern. So inhale for 3 counts, hold for 3, exhale for 3. And that rhythm alone, it just helps your nervous system, especially when you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed. So don't think too much about meditation. Just be present in the moment and do what works for you. Just focus on noticing. I like this tool because I really love journaling. It's funny, I have my journal with me too here in my bag. And I'm actually excited because I'm gonna finish it this year. I never finish a book, but I'm gonna finish this book this year. So I'm really happy about that. So journaling is really helpful because you could journal for as long as you want, as little as you want, but just journaling 5 minutes a day and just writing anything in your head and heart can help you release that. So we've explored the tools that help calm the body and quiet the mind. So now we have journaling, and journaling is really simple and is really powerful ways to release those overwhelming thoughts in your mind. We also have reflective writing, which we're going to talk about later. But with journaling, usually the practice of journaling is just, you just need your notebook, you just need a pen. If you're on a go, you can open up your notes and keep a running notepad, and you just write what's on your mind and get it off your head when you feel heavy. And then if you like to take it a little bit deeper, we have this tool, which is reflective writing. So reflective writing, how it differs from journaling is it's not just about venting or like unloading those emotions, but slowing down long enough to understand what's actually going on beneath the overwhelm. So that way you can respond with intention opposed to just reacting from stress. So during like the demanding seasons of the holidays, it's easy for everything to just kind of blur together. But with reflective writing, it helps you pause and just look at one thing at a time. So this is a practice that we use inside of the Clarity Catalyst program, because clarity is not coming from thinking harder. It's going to come from asking better questions or giving yourself that space to just kind of listen. So to practice reflective writing, you could choose one of these questions here, which is, what is the issue? What is it I don't understand yet? What is it I'm really feeling? What is it I don't see yet? What voice is speaking? Is it the inner critic or the voice of wisdom? In the class, we call it the VOJ, the voice of judgment, or the VOW, your voice of wisdom, right? And then what do I do next? So those are just questions that you can ask yourself. And then as you write, there's no need to rush or to force the answers. Just let yourself respond honestly. open, like, just let the clarity come through just by free writing. Did somebody else join?
Mhm.
Let the clarity come through just by free writing. So many people find that when they use this practice consistently, even if just for a few minutes, they feel less mentally scattered, right? More grounded with their decisions. And this is the kind of clarity that carries us over into your relationships, into your work, and then also how you show up for yourself. So think of reflective writing as sitting down with your thoughts opposed to wrestling with them. So tool 6 is about asking 3 powerful questions when you can't fall back to sleep. So it's 2 o'clock in the morning, or even 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Your body's exhausted, but your mind is just wide awake. You're replaying conversations. You're imagining the worst case scenario. You're worrying about things that hasn't even happened yet. And in that moment, your nervous system has slipped into the fight or flight, even though you're physically safe. So this is not the time that you want to problem solve. This is the time to kind of reassure your body. So when you wake up feeling anxious, you ask yourself these 3 simple questions. Is what I'm worrying about right now 100% definitely going to happen? Probably not. It's probably not going to happen, right? In this moment, am I safe and okay? You're in your room in your bed, so probably you're safe, you're fine, right? Is there anything I need to do right now? Not tomorrow, not next week, but like right now in this moment? And most of the time, the answer to that question is absolutely not. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Even if it's 4 o'clock in the morning, there's nothing you can do about it. So when your body hears that it's safe and it doesn't need to act, it can begin to settle. So if your mind is still active, you could pair these questions with a calming breath, or you could do the calm palm, or you could do the 5 senses check-in and just help your nervous system just fully reset. So the tools help you shift out of survival mode and back into rest without forcing sleep, right? Or fighting your thoughts. And even with the tools like journaling and reflective writing, there's still moments, especially at night, when your body is probably tired, but your mind wakes up anyway. And that's when you have these tools. That's when you can ask yourself these questions like, am I safe right now? And you tell your body, yeah, I am. I'm okay. Everything's going to be okay. So tool number 7, take a break. And I like this one. So when you take a break, what we do with my daughter, I call it the color walk. So while we're walking, we take a break, and it gets a little competitive with me and her sometimes. But what we do is we go outside and we pick a color, and we just see how many things we see in this color. My favorite color is blue. So I'm 9 times out of 10 gonna pick that color. Her favorite color is purple. Excuse me. So she's picking like those colors, and it's just a moment of mindfulness to bring us present in the moment and to stop whatever recent thoughts we had. I'm not scrolling, right? I'm not worrying about being productive. I'm just allowing my nervous system to just take a break for that moment. Because a lot of times we move from one thing to the next way too often without slowing down. And then our body is just in constant motion. Our minds is just in constant motion. And that just elevates our level of stress. So just take a moment to really just take a break. So this tool will invite you to just pause, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just to come back to your body. And another, like I said, the simple way you do this is called the color walk. So step outside if you can, walk through the hallway. Right now we're in a hotel, so we'll walk through the hotel, right? Walk through your workspace and just choose one color, any color, and just slowly walk while you're looking to find as many objects as you can in that color. And then as you walk, bring awareness to your body. So notice your feet touching the ground. Notice your breath moving in and out. Notice the air on your skin. And if your mind starts to drift, gently bring it back and just focus on what you're seeing right here and right now. So this practice alone will pull you out of your head and back into the present moment, which is where the calm lives. It'll help you reset your nervous system, even in the middle of a busy day. You don't need any special equipment. You don't need any extra time, just 5 intentional minutes. That's it. So when you practice this consistently, these small pauses, it'll make a really big difference. Then we have worry time. And worry time is funny. So I remember teaching this during a class. And while I was teaching this, I told one of the students to set the time for worry time. So I'm going to invite you guys to do the same thing. We started this at 5 o'clock. So I'm going to invite you guys to set your worry time for 5 p.m. tomorrow. Okay. It's funny. So here's the challenge. So between now and then, I don't want any of you to worry about anything at all. Literally nothing. Don't panic. The worry is not going to disappear. So what you're going to do, you're going to set your alarm for worry time. And anytime a worry pops into your mind today or tomorrow before 5 p.m., you're literally going to put it in the back of your mind, get into Rolodex, and you're going to tell yourself, I'm going to deal with it tomorrow at 5. And then when your alarm goes off at 5 p.m., you give yourself 15 full minutes to worry about whatever it is that you put in your mental Rolodex. And that's where it's going to get funny, because who's really going to sit there and think about everything that they put in the back of their mind from today? It's 5:34 right now, from today to 5 p.m. tomorrow, and literally worry about it. You're probably going to laugh at yourself, because the first time I did it, I started cracking up because I was really trying to worry about something that made no sense. And that's the point of the tool. You want to bring humor into it. You want to have fun. So when you think about worry, think about it. Worry feels overwhelming, right? Especially when it's constant and uncontained, and we constantly feel like we have to worry all the time. But when you set that time, worry time, for later, you start to realize, I don't have to worry about this right now. And then you go back to the other two, like, oh, I actually am safe. I don't have to focus about this right now. So I'm going to challenge you to set your alarm for 5 p.m. tomorrow and just try it once and see how it works. And you'll be surprised how much lighter you feel. So this is when I turn it over to Dr. Carter. So up until now, everything that we've shared is very experiential. So you felt what it's like to come back into your body, to quiet your mind and interrupt stress in real time. And the important part is none of it is random, right? None of it is just your mindset. So what you're doing is directing your nervous system to calm down. So now I'm going to hand it over to someone who's going to help you understand what's actually happening in your brain and body when stress shows up, and why these tools work the way they do. So Dr. Carter brings the science behind the stress, resilience, and performance under pressure. She's going to break down the difference between eustress, and then the kind of stress that can motivate and support us, and then de-stress, which is the type of stress that leads to burnout, exhaustion, and overwhelm. And then by understanding the distinction, it's really powerful, because it helps remove the shame around stress and gives you language for what your body has been trying to communicate all along. And so it's on you, Miss Carter.
So can everyone still hear me? I forgot there's a fish tank in my background. I love the sound of water because that's what's calming to me. And I worried about if that was what your sound was picking up. So I put on my AirPods, and can you hear me okay? Because it's trying to, okay, good, 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 good. All right. So yes, we're going to talk about eustress and distress, because not all stress is actually bad. All right. Most of us, when we say stress, we think, oh my God, I'm under stress. But when we say stress, a lot of folks don't realize that stress is a shortened version of distress. So that when we say stress, we're always talking about distress. You never really hear people talk about eustress. Right? We don't talk about eustress, and there's two different kinds, right? So for in the Chinese, next slide, please. So when it comes to the Chinese word, if you will, for stress, they have two characters that they use. One of those characters means stress is danger, but in that same word, if you will, is opportunity. And that coincides with what the research says. It is how we think about stress that determines how distressful it is, literally. Because again, the Chinese have figured it out. Stress is an opportunity, and it's a danger. So whichever one you tell your brain, well, that's what your brain actually believes. Okay. Next slide, please. So eustress, if you remember way back in biology, so I'm a zoology major, chemistry minor, so I love the science. I love the science, right? And if you remember way back when eukocytes, there were some words that use the prefix EU. The prefix EU means true or good. And so the translation of eustress is literally good stress, right? Because how many people have done this? Like, oh, I got this presentation coming up, I'm stressed. Oh, I have this class coming up, I'm stressed. Oh my God, it was so stressful getting to the airport. Oh, I got to get stressed. I'm stressed because we got to get packed up to make this trip. We just say that, right? Anybody say that? Like, I'm just stressed, I'm stressed, I'm stressed. Well, if we start teasing it out, that stress of making it to the airport on time to get to your plane is actually good stress because you're about to do something enjoyable. Unless you're taking a vacation you don't enjoy. I'm not sure why we would be doing that, but that's actually good stress, right? Because if you're stressed about getting to the airport, it means you're going to get up, you're going to get the kids ready, you're going to pack the day before, or 5 hours before, depending on if you're me or not. But that's actually good stress. Very short term. It's going to make you, for athletes, it makes them practice a little harder. If you're a musician or a piano player, it's going to make you excited to put that bit of stress in there to get that practice in, do that last thing. It's motivating and it's inspiring, right? Eustress gives you an edge, if you will, the edge. If you're like me, I have social anxiety. And at one point, getting up and doing something like this was just stressful. And I was stressed all the way through. So when you are that way, but you take your time, like, let me make sure this, and I got this in order, and I get this. That's what eustress is. When you have eustress, it makes you prepare. It's like, okay, I know I got to do this. So let me line all the things up that makes it easier for me to perform. And that's the whole point of eustress. And so the takeaway here is be sure that when you say stress, that you tease out. Because if you're stressed about a presentation, that's actually good stress. It means you're going to pay attention to say the things, to do the research and everything you need to do to prepare. If your kids say, Mommy, I'm stressed because I got to perform in gymnastics or whatever, remind them that that's the eustress. That's the good stress. It's just going to make you run a little harder, practice a little better to do what you're supposed to do, right? Next slide, please. Then there's distress, which most of us actually mean when we say stress. Somewhere in the 50s, 60s, the dis dropped off of it. I don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason. And they just started, instead of distress, they started calling it stress, right? So distress is an issue. And long-term stress is an issue. Why? Because in London, alluded to this before, when the body goes into long-term stress, it starts to go through chemical processes. You start to produce more cortisol. You start to produce adrenaline. Those things are made to help you go through stress, get out of it, and be safe. That's the purpose. So literally when your body feels stressed and the adrenaline pops up and the cortisol pops up, well, actually your body's doing exactly what it's supposed to do to protect you, right? For instance, if anybody's afraid of a dog, you hear a dog bark, your body goes into this chemical reaction and you start to react. Why? Because your brain's like, hey, there's a dog, we're afraid. What do we got to do to get safe? Then once you're in safety, the stress dissipates, adrenaline goes down, cortisol goes down because its job is over, right? The problem with long-term stress is you trigger that stress response. So you get all the adrenaline and all the cortisol, and there's some more chemicals, and it stays there. And the longer it stays in the body and it's not getting you to safety, you don't got to fight, you don't got to run, you don't got to do anything, any of that. It starts to break the body down over time, right? When we say break the body down, there's a direct link between stress, hypertension, diabetes, fibromyalgia, arthritis, cancer. Direct link between, if we stay stressed for too long, those chemicals break the body down and we get this whole host of illnesses. So that's why we talk about stress and why it's so important to understand it and how to manage it, right? Next slide, please. Now, when we do have distress or stress, we enter into survival mode, right? That's the adrenaline is up, the cortisol is up, and it's really priming your body. We got to stand and fight or run to get to safety. That's literally what's happening, right? And you saw before when I say you hear if you're afraid of dogs, you hear a dog bark. A lot of us do this, right? And your body's going to respond to the stressor. There are 5 ways that we respond to anxiety. We call them the 5 F's of anxiety. Some of us fight, some of us flight or we run away, some of us freeze, that deer caught in headlights, some of us fawn, and a lot of people don't necessarily hear that one a lot. When I'm going to explain it to you, when I do, you'll probably recognize either you do it or other folks who do it, and some of us faint. We all know the people that faint because we get tickled. You know, you've been on YouTube and you see the dude waiting up there for his bride to come, and all of a sudden he just topples over. He like completely faints. That is an anxiety response. His brain said, dude, we're unsafe, and he just passes out. Right. And so when our body reacts to one of these, it's because stress has caused us to feel unsafe, which puts us into the survival mode. Right. So we talked about fight. Fight is not just a physical fight. Right. Anybody hear the angry Black woman? Anybody hear that one? And scientists are just now figuring this out. But we have so many quote unquote angry Black women because we're in the fight zone. We're in survival mode. We are in anxiety survival mode, in the fight mode. Think about that for a moment. When you think about it, is such a stereotype now. So many of us has been labeled the angry Black woman. That shows you how many people are in survival mode and they're trying to survive by being in fight. That's their response to stress, is the fight mode. Now, some people physically do fight, but for most folks, they can be angry, they're argumentative, they challenge, right? They question, they don't believe what they hear. Those are all different types of reaction to stress, okay? And the flight, most of us kind of know this one because I'm an avoider. All day, twice on Sunday, I tend to be an avoider. If there's a mess going on over here, you're going to see me slide out the door. I'm going to just get real quiet and I'm going to ease to the nearest exit to try to get away from the mess. I'm not going to address it. I'm not going to respond to it because that's the way my brain looks at the totality of what it can figure out and say, look, just be quiet, ease off the door and avoid. Right? The freeze mode, the deer caught in headlights, we know that in animals, right? In human beings, it looks like this. You've seen someone in domestic violence with a lot of it in a marriage or relationship. Why won't she just leave? It's the freeze. Her brain has said, we looked at everything. The best way for you to survive now is, and that's what their brain tells them, right? You can also see that in some women that stay in a toxic job year after year after year. It doesn't matter how many people tell them they're toxic. I have had clients come to me 10 years in a toxic job, and they were just this. I can't leave. I can't do that. That might be dangerous because their brain has said the best way for you to survive right now is just freeze. And this is why rape advocates work so hard, because oftentimes when people are raped, they freeze. And the question that men prosecutors like to ask, well, did you fight back? Well, you must have liked it. No, she didn't fight back. because she went into freeze mode. And that's the deer caught in headlights. The brain said freeze. And oftentimes when you freeze, your brain will take you to a whole nother plane, a whole other level. And sometimes you're not even aware of what's going on around you. Okay, that's a response. And the fawn is also, you will see this in a lot of domestic violence situations, and you'll see this in toxic work environments as well. When people are rude, mean, condescending, ugly, they're attacking you, you're like, oh, can I help you with that? Is there anything I can help you to feel better? What can I do to figure this? Oh, and they become like overly nice and solicitous, and can I do something? And can I do this for you? Are you sure you're okay? I can get something else for you if you like. They become very caring for the people, the person or people who are inflicting stress or distress upon them. And so I tend to, once I found out about this one, I recognize in my grandmothers and my aunts, I recognize the fawning. Like, baby, can I get you this? Can I get you that? And I know my grandmother had anxiety. She was afraid of crowds. And so she would become more solicitous. Can I get you this? Can I do that? Let me sweep that under your feet. Let me bring in this. It's this constant movement. And what folks are doing and finding is they're giving off energy, trying to calm down. Their brain says, hey, you have a lot of energy. Try to dissipate that by helping people and try to get this other person to feel a certain way so they don't distress you and you'll feel better. Right? Problem is most of these are a way to cope, but they don't actually necessarily work to resolve stress, but they're how we react, right? So there's no shame whether you are the fight person, you're the flight, or you freeze, or the fawn, or the faint. There's no shame in that. Just be aware of what you're doing and why. Because if all of a sudden you're so tired, you're about to drop, as in the holidays, because you cooked everything, you did all the shopping, you had to clean up, somebody made a mess, and they all walked off and left it like you're the maid. And so you got to clean up behind that, and you are ready to blow, but you walk into a room full of people. Can I pour you some more coffee? Can I get you some? Are you sure you're feeling okay? If you recognize it in yourself, understand, like, holy smokes, I'm fawning. I'm reacting to distress. And that's your cue to break away. And you can do any of the things that London said before. They all work to bring you out of that survival mode, right? So it is important, because on the job, if you're in the freeze and you've been in a toxic work environment where people are rude and you know, you on high blood pressure medication, you got to see a therapist sometimes 2 times a week. Recognize that you may be in a freeze response and work with your therapist to say, I need to start dissipating this because I got to go. Right. And that's where the awareness and the knowledge comes from. So before I go to the next slide, I want to stop and ask questions because I love to talk. So I want to, any questions or comments? Has anybody seen the fawn before? Now that you know what fawn is, has anybody seen? I see it. I saw it a lot in my grandmother, the fawning. And I saw it. Say again.
It's funny. I have, now that you mentioned it and broke it down.
Yeah. And I used to do this in relationships. Even though he had messed up and stepped in it, I was the one fawning, trying to placate him and make him feel better, even though he had messed up. That was a fawn reaction. That was distress. That was survival mode. You know, it's important to note that we can cope in any of these ways, depending on what situation we're in. With some people, we're going to be all up in the fight. We'll step off into it. With other folks, we're going to be in the freeze mode. Okay. If you can remember back when Jay-Z, Solange, and Beyonce was in the elevator and Solange had stepped all up in Jay-Z's behind, you can see it. They were going back and forth, and everybody remarked on Beyonce because she just had this look like she was likely in her freeze mode. That was her response to what was going on. So you saw one sister was in fight mode. The other sister was probably in her freeze mode because she looked like she was in a whole other world. And when she stepped off that elevator, you couldn't, if there were no cameras, you'd have never known what went down in the elevator went down.
Shonda
right?
said she sees that in herself sometimes when it comes to certain people.
Yes, yes. Thanks for your comment. Absolutely. And so it's about being aware because London looked at one of her journaling activities, like observe, what am I doing? What am I feeling and why? That's a wonderful time to use that journaling activity because sometimes we're in fight, freeze, flight, fawn. We have no idea why. You've been triggered. Some of us, we know the trigger. Some of us, we don't know. But once you are aware, you can start looking and start examining, right? Next slide, please. So we're going to talk about things that help with bringing you out of fight or flight, right? Fight, flight, freeze, fawn, faint. The thing is to bring you out of survival zone so that you can move to your neocortex. We call the neocortex the new brain, the big brain, right? That's the brain that makes logical decisions, right? When you're in survival mode, right? We have two amygdalas. They're almond shaped. They sit about right here. All of the sensory data that we get when it's like, I'm not safe, your amygdalas can bypass your neocortex. They don't even talk to it. Like, oh, this is horrible. We got to do, and you're off to the races. But what happens when you come out of survival zone, your amygdalas then communicate with the big brain. Your big brain's like, that's not true. That's not completely true. That's not no, I think we can work her. And that's the brain you want to be in because this is the one that tells you how to behave. Like, this is a better decision to make than that. When we're in survival mode, like if normal, typical brain, I hate to say normal, typical brain is like this. All of the sensory data that's going on in life and all the things that go on around us, right? We can perceive most of that when we're thinking with this brain. When we hit survival mode, your brain starts to do this and it tunnel visions. Its only goal is that you survive. That's it. It doesn't care if you're happy, if you're sad, if you're mad, it really doesn't care. All it cares about is survival. And when we are in survival brain, we become binary in our thinking. Yes, no, up, down, left, right. You ever look back at yourself and thought, why in the world would I have done that? That was a stupid decision. That makes no sense. In survival mode, it makes absolute sense. When you're out of survival mode, it makes no sense. That is because in survival mode, we don't make great decisions. It's not the point of survival mode. And so now we're talking about how do I get out of survival mode so I can move back to the big brain and make better decisions, right? And some of the things that are really great for anti-anxiety, bring you out of that, is lavender, chamomile, bergamot, and ylang-ylang, right? It's your smell is the only sense that you have that bypasses all your brains, all the little hoops that you got to jump through. It bypasses, so you can remember. You smell something pleasant, and your brain remembers it. So when you repeat the smell, your brain responds to it. It doesn't have to go to say, "Hey, can we feel good about this? Can we?" No, bypasses all of it, and smell does that. And another great thing that I like to help my clients do, especially the ones that are stressing about something at work the next day or going into work, is if you put your lavender oil in a carrier oil and you massage it into your feet, it's some of the best sleep you ever get. It is some of the absolute best sleep you'll ever get, right? And so it's important to understand that some of our stress, as London alluded to earlier, is self-imposed. It's our racing thoughts, right? And if you think about it, we have about 50 to 90,000 thoughts every day. 50 to 90. When you're in survival mode and you have a thought, your brain wants to chase that thought. So if you have 10 thoughts, your brain wants to chase all 10 thoughts. And if you have a what if for those 10 thoughts, it wants to chase them all down. And if you have a what if for those 100 thoughts, it wants to chase it all down. Very soon, you're overwhelmed with so many thoughts, you just kind of lean back and you go, I can't take this anymore. And that's what happens. But the sense of smell, and whatever smell is pleasant for you, like I happen to love orange blossom, having lived in Florida. Orange blossoms are some of the most beautiful things you can smell. I remember just having my window up at night and having that smell come through. Very relaxing, very calming. But the smell is a way you can bypass and get to calm. So whatever smell is your smell, it gets you to calm, it gets you there, right? Negative mindset, experiencing shame, guilt, or feeling incompetent. All of these are connected to being in survival mode. They're not helpful, but literally your brain is doing what it's supposed to because it's trying to protect you. It's just over protecting you. And so your job is to, like, your job is, no, your job is to use the skills and the tools to guide your brain out of survival mode back to the neocortex where you can think better. Remember, I started this off by saying research says that if you think something is stressful and you feel it is harmful, it's stressful and it is harmful. But if you tell yourself, this is an opportunity, let's see, this is a challenge, let's see what we can do with this, then your brain no longer looks at the stress as stressful, it looks at it as a challenge or an opportunity. Okay. Terry said, this is really great. Thank you both. To have another engagement. Oh, yeah. We'll be sure to send the replay to I think it's T or Ty. Okay. Next slide, please. So we're going to look at single nostril breathing. This is a yoga move that's really great. A lot of what we talked about today is experiential, and it's involving the mind. I like to use things that helps people move a little bit around because some people need to move, much like London's hand, the palm. Many times moving the body as well as engaging the brain helps you. Very simple to do. You want to do a hang, like if you were in Hawaii, the hang tens. Okay. And you just place it in front of your face, and it doesn't matter which one you start with. Always start with a thumb. So if you move your thumb, and it doesn't matter which hand, you can start with either one. Close off one nostril with the thumb and breathe in. Close off the other nostril with the pinky and breathe out slowly. Close off with the thumb, breathe in. Close off with the forefinger, breathe out. Inhale with the thumb. Switch off, exhale with the pinky. Switch. 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 Okay. Now, if you're like me, I just close my eyes on everything. When you close your eyes, it stops like about 80% of the sensory data that you get, and just that alone helps you to calm. But you can do this one with your eyes open or your eyes closed. But what did you feel or what did you notice as you did this one?
For me, I noticed like inside my body just feels calmer. I don't know how to explain it really, but in my stomach, it feels calm.
So that's a vagal response. Once you tip it, it automatically calms your body down. And that's the part, once you tip that vagal nerves, that's the part that says, hey, I'm safe. And it's hard to explain how you feel, but that's why you're feeling it, because your brain and body go, hey, we're safe. Oh, okay, I like this. And I always, people say the same thing. I cannot explain to you why I feel like I feel, but I feel this way, right? And oftentimes through everything that London taught you with those first techniques, literally that's what the body is. Those techniques help the body to say, hey, mind, body safe, I feel safe. And when you feel safe, you don't have to feel anxious. And so you calm down. right? And so typically when you're doing this one on your own, you want to do 10 cycles, just in and out as one cycle. I have folks that say, nope, I'm a 20 girl. I do this 20 times because it just feels good. Anything over 10 is good. If you're in a pinch, 5 will do you. It'll focus you, right? I noticed that after about 4, I start to get sleepy because that's my thing. You know, I just get sleepy when I start getting the extra oxygen to the brain. So Kwashanda said, my mind naturally felt calm and clear because I was focused on the technique. And that's why I like it, because it has you doing this thing. It's a little awkward at first, but then you're also breathing, you're getting the extra oxygen to the brain, and your body literally feels it fairly quickly. Next slide, please. All right, so I love this one. This is a 3-2-1 technique. It's real simple, just what it says. You take 3 cleansing breaths, then you take 2 is the 2 hands. You're going to cross them across your arm, hug yourself, and then close your eyes. We're going to breathe for a minute, right? All right, so go ahead and take 3 cleansing breaths. You can do it with eyes open or eyes closed, your choice. Now take the 2 hands, cross them over your chest, and give yourself a hug, right? And if it feels good, you can also like rub your hands up and down the backs of your arms. That gives you a little deeper sensation there. And then close your eyes, and we're going to stay here and breathe for a minute. Okay. Go ahead and open your eyes. Okay. And what did you notice with this one?
I felt warm.
Well, I like that. Anybody else? So why does this work? Well, first of all, anytime you're getting extra oxygen to the brain, it communicates to the brain that the brain is safe. It doesn't have to fear running out of oxygen. It is safe, right? The 2 arms, again, when we hug people, you ever notice how you hug folks, especially if you remember getting a hug from your grandmother and how good that felt, or if you have kids and you pick them up and you hold them, you're just like, oh, it's what a squeeze, squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
That's oxytocin. Okay, the bonding hormone, that's oxytocin. So when we hug other people, it feels good, but we can create our own oxytocin by hugging ourselves. And when you kind of rub up and down your arms, you're creating a little bit. That's why that feels good. And of course, close your eyes. You're getting out, you're getting rid of 80% of the sensory deprivation. I'm sorry, sensory brain cramp. The sensory data that you're getting in, you block that out, and then you breathe. So you're giving the brain more oxygen, and it just calms you, and it just really feels good, right? And you can do this from anywhere. Before you go to a meeting, you can go to the restroom, sit in your office. You can do this. It takes like a minute and maybe 40 seconds, 30 seconds. It's not very long at all, but it's a complete reset. I like my clients to do this one when they're anxious. It is a reset. It stops it right there, and you start over, right? And the effects last longer than that minute or so that you do it. Okay. Next slide, please.
There we go.
All right. All right. And we thank you so much for attending. I just want a quick query because we've put like 10, 11 tools out there. Which tools do you see that you can just pick up and use on a day-to-day basis or moment to moment?
Shonda, I don't know if you want to unmute yourself or if you want to type it in the chat.
No, I was gonna unmute. I was like, I don't want to have to type all that. um, um, so a few of these tools I have incorporated already, and I do them with my children. But also, I really enjoyed the Hawaiian symbol of the nostril. That really resonated with me. Also, the journaling, of course, I journaled, but seeing a different perspective of journaling and then ways of incorporating specific questions to navigate my journaling, because sometimes when I tend to journal, I feel like I'm all over the place, and then I end up getting stressed from journaling. And so having those guided questions, I think, will definitely benefit myself, and also when I'm talking to my children, because I try to, give them these mindful techniques as well. With how crazy it is for kids these days. But the class overall, I mean, I gained so much knowledge and clarity from the things that I already thought I knew, coming from a different perspective, and also elaborating from both of you. So I really enjoyed this session.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I'm told that you're also military or prior military. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. I'm still in. They got me for a little less than 2 years, and I'm
Okay.
gone.
Okay. Which branch?
Army.
Hua.
There we go. I'm whole for a little bit longer then I'm putting on my running shoes.
Okay. Just you inch it towards the door.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you. We both appreciate you so much for attending and for sharing your feedback. Feedback is always great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I was going to tell London, so I've known about this one, but for whatever reason, I don't use that with my clients. And I'm happy that you brought that one back, because I got a couple of them that they're taking exams and whatnot. So I'm like, look, you can sit there in your exam and do this for a couple of minutes and you be good.
Yes. And even some of them, because I know certain techniques work for different people. So the entire time, I'm definitely focusing on myself, but I'm also thinking about my children as well. So some techniques for them. The one you just mentioned about guiding your finger across your hand, that one specifically for my daughter. Like, I know that that's something that will definitely resonate with her. So I really enjoyed this session. I really did.